us another day, only to scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old ways, sticking up without the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, it won't be as simple for you.
Yo, guys, it is Old Man G here, back again with another match preview. This time it is the Saturday 12:30 kickoff, at least in UK time, BST, for Manchester United versus Everton. But remember, if you're new to the channel, to like, share and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter and X and smash the notification button. It's Manchester United news. Sorry guys, eventually at some point I will get a time together. My time management is not great, and I keep on pushing back the times and stuff like that as well. So, but we are live, and I am trying to get back into swing of streaming again, and just doing regular streams. So the very fact that I'm at least back to streaming and trying to cover things that is basically is a testament to how far I've been out for a while. So, but yeah. At the end of the day, enough of my rambling to one side. We are here to basically preview the Everton versus United game. At the end of the day, this for me is like it's a must-win for Manchester United. In both games, this were must-wins. I think that when you look at United's last couple of fixtures, I think the hardest. I mean, I was going to say Chelsea at home, but is Chelsea at home this really difficult? I guess it depends on whether you think that Lampard is going to be good or not. I don't know. So really, when we're thinking about, the difficulty that United's fixtures are going to, how they're going to be, you need to really look at, I would say, Brighton away and Spurs away, assuming Spurs actually turn things around. Those are probably the two, I would argue, hardest games that Manchester United have left. So I think that if we beat Everton at home, when you look at where we are on the table, I think that United are fairly assured of at least top four. Maybe not necessarily third, obviously not second, because there's a title race between Manchester City and Arsenal that is ongoing. But I think when it comes to, finishing, in the position, finishing in the top four, I think a win against Everton, it puts us on 56 points, with obviously a game in hand over Spurs. And Spurs, obviously, and this is the key thing, I think, this weekend, is that Spurs will be going up against. They'll be going up against. I think they're going up against Brighton and Newcastle away to Brentford. So they've got Spurs going up against Brighton and Newcastle away to Brentford. Two tough games. I think Brentford will be a bit tricky for Newcastle, and I also think Brighton will be tricky for Spurs. And potentially if Brentford and Brighton take points off, those Spurs and Newcastle respectively, I think even then, a win against Newcastle is even more favourable. So I'm happy about that. I think that, yeah, I mean, I think whatever anybody says, I think that you see, a Carabao Cup and top four, considering what we were expecting going to see. Because I said several times, going into this season, that I expected Manchester United to finish fifth. I think with the backing of everything that's going on, I expected Manchester United to finish fifth. That's what I expected. So I think the fact that you've got a situation where Manchester United could actually finish fourth, potentially even third, and then on top of that, a situation where we have at least have a trophy. What can you say? What can you say? I think overall that would have been arguably been a good season for Manchester United, and we're still in 2 trophy competitions, let alone 3 trophies, an FA Cup and Europa League as well. So it is what it is what I'm saying. Uh, mm. Oh, sorry about that. Oof, nice. So let me quickly go into what I think what I think the starting 11 is going to be. So also we can see the formation generator here. So obviously some key news I think coming into this fixture. I think the most important thing is that it looks like Eriksen is back. Eriksen is back. And I think this is a massive boost to Manchester United, because bearing in mind that Casemiro is obviously going to be back. We're going to see he's not played for, might be a little bit rusty, but he's obviously going to be back following his 4-game suspension. This Everton game is the last one. He was going to be back against the Europa League anyway, because obviously United are going to be playing against Sevilla. But he is back. Casemiro is actually back for Manchester United, as is Eriksen. So we could starts against Everton, but eventually, for some reason, that creator generator it's just crashed for me. Oh, it's back. Okay. So it was an internet thing. So I apologize about the signal connection if it's not particularly. I need to get a better Wi-Fi. That's what I need. I need to get a better Wi-Fi. I need to get better Wi-Fi. So sorry about this, guys. But yeah. What was I going to say? Eriksen being back is a huge. It's huge. I think it's very, very important. And I think when we look at where we've struggled going into the season, it's literally been recently anyway, our inability to create chances. That's one of the things that's been a big problem for us, for Manchester United going forward, our ability to create chances. And one of the things that Eriksen did or could do that no other player, I think, in this United team can do, is that he can help us. He can create chances. So, like I said, I don't think he will start against Everton, but I would like him to see a good run out, because we play Sevilla in the Europa League on Thursday, and I think that, and we play at home, and I think that if you have a situation where you play Casemiro, Eriksen, and Fred, is what I would do. But if obviously this is a bit side topic, but with Eriksen coming back, I think what I would do is I would play. Oh, Ilias, thank you so much. I thought I was going to be the only one in the stream. It's always nice when people that pop in the stream. Shout out to you, Ilias, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well, buddy, on this Friday evening. It's in the UK anyway. But thank you for joining in. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think that, like, when Eriksen was here, I think what happened is you end up in a situation where Bruno was on the right, and then you could fit Casemiro, Fred, and Eriksen into the midfield. For me, that is actually our best midfield: Casemiro, Eriksen, and Fred. Possibly maybe you could play Bruno, but you could play Bruno playing a deeper role. So Casemiro plays alongside Bruno in a deeper role, and Eriksen up top. But you have to play Eriksen, I think, in the number 8 position, a creative position, because he plays that role far more effectively, in my opinion, than Bruno does. But anyway, that's a by the by. At the end of the day, in conclusion, Eriksen's back, Casemiro's back, and I think that, and with Martial, obviously, he came on for about 20-some minutes or so against them. I think that, we're getting our players back, and hopefully we can, the only injury doubt, the injury actually is Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw is still out. He's not going to be available for Everton. So Malacia will come into debut. Otherwise, everyone else, I can gather, is still fit and is still is still fit and they're still able to. That was the mother. But yeah, yeah, it's what it is. Yeah. What was I going to say? Yes, sorry. Bit distracted, so on the live. So with my folks, you know, so it's the Easter weekends, you know. So I'm here with the family. So if you hear family in the background, that's how you know. Right, let's quickly get onto the starting 11. I've been rambling for 10 minutes, not even started in starting 11. So in goal, obviously, you're going to have David De Gea here. Okay, centre back wise, it's obviously going to be Varane and Martinez. That's just how it's going to be. Those are centre backs. I don't think you're going to change that really anytime soon. You're not going to change that. I think then at right back, you're going to have, you know, I don't know why. I mean, it will be Dallo, but I don't really know why Wan-Bissaka is kind of fallen out of favour. I don't know whether it's because, you know, Ten Hag prefers that and wants to give him a run. We're winning. But, you know, to be honest, Dallo was, I'm still, I think Wan-Bissaka is the informed one. Your wife is like, no, don't even. It was not my wife. It was my. it was my Bob. It was my Bob Elias. It was my Bob. My Bob came in to check to see how she was, see how I was doing. So I'm staying with the parents for the time being. So, but hopefully you and your wife are doing a fine, a lovely day. Shout out to Solo Man from the Man United Agenda Man. Big up, bro. Big up you and the Agenda. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. So yeah, I think that I still would prefer Wan-Bissaka to start. I think that Wan-Bissaka, while Dallo was on his thing, I just, and even in the final against Newcastle, he basically sorted out that side. You know, that's just what I think it is. I'm sorry, I told you. Yeah, no, it's fine. I do have a girlfriend though. I do have a girlfriend, but I'm just staying with my folks for the Easter weekend. So respect, bro. Thanks, Solo. So yeah, I would have started. I don't know. I just think that we'll see what happens with Dallo. Dallo had a good game against Brentford, you know. So, but I actually think Wan-Bissaka has improved even offensively before, but Dallo has never. I don't think I've ever seen Dallo have as good a defensive performance as Wan-Bissaka personally, you know. So, so I don't know. I don't think that. I think he should still be in favour. Is my personal opinion. You know, that's what I think anyway. Moving on. Obviously, Luke Shaw is injured, so Malacia is going to come in here. He will be a starter. Now in the midfield, obviously I said Eriksen is back. He's back training, but I don't think Eriksen is going to start. I think he will be on the bench, so it's going to probably. And obviously Casemiro is still suspended for this game. Everton are quite a physical team. Although Decore obviously has been sent off, so they now don't have him. So I think that's a good thing for Manchester United in terms of that physical part that's not going to be there. So I think that I would imagine Ten Hag is going to do. I think he should do what we did against Everton. I think he should play. Well, he's not. I don't know why he's not going to play Fred, but he will probably play McTominay and Fernandes. I don't know why Fred has gone to the pecking order down again. I would have played Fred and Bruno here, or Sabitzer, and then he's probably going to play Sabitzer in this cam role. So I don't think he's going to make many changes from the previous game. I don't think. Ahmad was coming today. Son for 2 goals. We need him. Yes, I mean. Ahmad and Palestri are definitely good options, I think. It'd be interesting to see what Ten Hag on a training, what he does, because we have 2 right players in Sancho and Anthony. And I still think that we need more from them. We need much more from Sancho, who I'm annoyed about defensively. He's just not good, he's not switched on. And we need to see more of him forward. And Anthony gives you bits and bursts, and he was okay against Brentford as well. But I think we need to see a bit more from Anthony personally. That's my personal opinion. We need to see more from him. We do. So that's why I think that I think as far as the right wing goes, it's possible that he starts Sancho. It is possible that he starts Sancho this game. But I have a feeling that it will be I have a feeling that it'll be Anthony this time. Right is difficult. Right is difficult on his side. It's difficult. Now, I think that Rashford should be on the left, and I think Marshall has to start. I think Marshall has to start. I know that Ten Hag is trying to be good, but for me, managing him, it's like, we can't have a situation with Martial. Sorry, I'm being slow, guys. I'm sorry. You can't have a situation with Martial where like he's basically been relegated to like a impact player from the bench and that's 20-30 minutes of games. For me personally, if he can't, because then people say, people be going on Weghorst, and Weghorst isn't good enough, and I know that Weghorst isn't good enough. But at the end of the day, I still think what use is a player if he can only play for 20 minutes maximum, and if he doesn't do anything. From what I saw with Martial was great. There's clearly a different world between him and Weghorst, but it's like, but at the end of the day, like Weghorst has been available, Martial has not. Martial has not been available for most of the season, so I'm not going to start riding the Martial train when at the end of the day we can't rely on the player's availability. So I hope that he starts tomorrow, and I hope that we can get at least a good, I would say at least a half. Is that too much to ask? Is one half of football too much to ask for this dude? It shouldn't be, in my personal opinion. We should be able to have more from him. Ilya says, I will sell Sanchez is United's level. I never like him. And a go West for the bench is good. Yeah, from the bench, yeah, of course, I agree with you. From the bench, yes. But at the end of the day, we didn't have a choice because we didn't have any people from the bench because Martial wasn't available. All these players weren't available. That was the problem. That was the problem for me. That we didn't have the availability. Which is the most important asset as far as I'm concerned. Without Weghorst playing as number 9, I don't know. Like, if you think about it, if we didn't sign him, who else would we play? You'd probably have to play Rashford at number 9, and then probably rely on Sancho off the left, and then Anthony on the right. That's probably how you would have to play, I think. You might and then off the bench, you then only have Elanga and Palestri. That's probably all you would have if we didn't have a Weghorst. Solskjaer us 5 years back with this team that he built. Which Ollie signing has actually been a success? Bruno, possibly Bruno. If you want to make a case, he's probably been out of all the signings that Ollie has made, Bruno's probably been the best signing. I still rate Wan-Bissaka defensively. It's better than Dallo, which was Mourinho's signing. Maguire's trash. Who else did he sign? Ronaldo obviously left. Sancho's been garbage, and he did sign Varane. He did sign Varane. In fairness, he did sign Varane. So I can't. Yeah. We can. He did sign Varane as well. So yeah, I can't really like. Varane and Bruno would be what I would say. In fairness to Ollie, I would keep Rashford at number 9 and play Sancho again. That's not a bad shout. That is not a bad shout. And play Sancho off the left and play Rashford at 9. That's not a bad shout. I just don't know when we're going to get at the start of Martial. I don't know, but yeah, I wouldn't be adverse to seeing that. But if I'm honest, like Sancho just has not done enough at all this season to warrant a start. Like aside from the only thing I remember him playing well was when he sat Milner down against Liverpool. Outside of that, I don't know. He hasn't done anything else really, from my personal opinion. Remember to like the vid, and subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. So on this Friday night, also if you have any questions, we can turn this potentially into a Q&A as well, depending on how many questions you guys have as well. So because it is Friday night, and I've got a bit of time, so yeah. Ilias says, I'm scared for next season. Transfer will be depressing. I will not be surprised if we buy. Announce a bitch panic buy. Well, it depends on whether we get competent owners in the club. I think that's the key thing. If United get competent owners into the club, then there's going to be no problem whatsoever. The problem will be if United the most important thing for Manchester United, actually, to be honest, in general, is that the club is sold. You know, that is the thing. That's the thing. The most important thing is that the club is sold to good, you know, what's the word? To good owners that are going to spend money on the club. That's as simple as that for me. Spend money on the club, good owners, etc. That's what you should do. Okay, if you don't, then I don't know what you can say, because we've been wanting the Glazers out for goodness knows how long. The Glazers need to go out. They need to leave. They need to be gone, finished, finito, all the rest of it. If they're not, then we've got to remember, guys, that this is temporary. That this is actually temporary. That at the end, because we've seen it so many times with previous managers where a manager has a bit of success and suddenly people forget about the bigger picture, which is the Glazers and their terrible ownership over Manchester United Football Club. At least that's my thoughts. Wasted 400 million. Yeah, he did. But I mean, so did Mourinho, to be fair. Like, to be honest, I don't know what manager we had has, like, if you look at the players that Mourinho signed, the players that what's his name, Van Gaal and so on, I can't think of any manager. Like, I would argue that you could make an argument that Ollie's players have been arguably overall been more successful than Mourinho or other players. And if you exclude the ones that came through the academy, like Rashford, McTominay, and so on, like, I mean, you look at this team that we see here, and Dalot, okay, is the Mourinho player. Martinez is a Ten Hag player. De Gea is an Alex Ferguson player, so we don't count him. Varane is an Ollie player. Malacia is a Ten Hag player. McTominay came from the academy. Rashford academy. Sabitzer Ten Hag. Fernandes Ollie. Anthony Ten Hag. Martial was Van Gaal. Like, there's literally no like if you want to talk about like bad, there's literally no Mourinho. Mourinho was before Ollie. There's no Mourinho signings in this starting 11. That's bad, and he was there for 3 years. Ahmad, man, yeah, Ahmad indeed. What Abracadabra Akazam says, what's good? Shout out to you, Abra, bro. Shout out to you, bro. Thanks for joining, man. Adad Free, sorry, Adad Free. I don't say AD. Adad Free says, is Anthony a flop? He's not terrible, but nowhere near the price tag. Over the years, you guys find a lot of underwhelming bigs. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you're right. But at the end of the day, like, United obviously overpaid for Anthony. They could have had Anthony for less than the amount, but because Ten Hag wanted Anthony, and because we didn't give Ajax a chance to replace him, they charged us whatever they wanted to charge us. That's what happened. If the board was, and this is what I'm talking. This is why I talk about the greater picture, the bigger picture. If you look at the way that Newcastle have been signing players now, and City have been signing players until maybe recently, it makes sense. United have always overpaid players because their transfer policy is just, there's no sense to it. There's no logic to it. It's just vibes. It's just vibes at the end of the day. So, yeah, I think that, Anthony was definitely not worth the amount. it's a bit too early to say he's a flop right now, because considering some other signings that have been higher signings this season by certain other clubs, there's certainly players that are worse. I'm looking at Mudryk, who was signed for 100 plus million. Dude's a flop. Dude's a flop. Nunes, maybe not a flop. There's more to his game, but he's certainly. But has he performed to the level of 100 million player? City, Calvin Phillips. People even forget they even plays in Manchester City. So there are a lot of flops that people don't really talk about, in my personal opinion. But I like to focus on Anthony more than anything. Sancho is English. No, that's a bit harsh. He was good at Dortmund. Sancho was good at Dortmund, but it's just that he wasn't. I just don't know. He was good at Dortmund, but for whatever reason, he's just not. He's not clicked on at Manchester, and I don't know why. And there's clearly some personal things going on in the background that we're just not aware of. It is what it is. Between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Mourinho, LG, who would be the best? Between Ole Gunnar, Mourinho, and LG, who would have had the best squad building? I mean, this is controversial, but I would say Ole. And the thing is, and I'll say Ole because you can see look at the starting 11. Okay, Rashford, came through LVG as well, but came handy. But I'm sure Ole would have been Ole. He would have promoted Rashford, and let's not even forget about Greenwood, who came from the academy where Ole was here as well, and he was we're missing him, but obvious reasons. We won't go into that, but enough said. So, so I think that obviously LVG is probably the most talented. Well, LVG is the most talented coach out of those three. Mourinho's the better manager out of those three. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think, has the better squad building. I think, but that's not saying a lot when I consider what happened to the squad of those managers. I mean, you look at LVG with Daley Blind, and we had Marcus Rojo, who was a bit all over the place, and I mean Herrera was fair enough. I'll give him Herrera, but Falcao, we had so many flops, man. It was so, and then Mourinho. I mean, you just have to look at Lukaku and Pogba. Those are most expensive players for ages, Lukaku and Pogba, and Lukaku lasted a season a bit and is now garbage, as you can see. And Pogba, enough said. He's gone away to Juve, Pog back, Pog boom, and he's not played a single game for Juve, well, bar one. And do Juve really need him? There you go. If the Clowns Gators want to sell, why give a Luke Shaw a 4-year contract? I think Luke Shaw is always going to get a new contract, though. I think Luke Shaw is always going to get a new contract. I think he was always going to get a new contract. Why do people coming for Anthony is in for the Clowns? Yeah, exactly. Anthony is good. Remember, we will start. Anthony is good. Remember, we will start as United 5 minutes. Yeah. It's too. It's. I don't like going for players that where literally they've just arrived. It's their first season, so I will never go on young. My two rules are twofold. It's one, I don't go for players who are youth players because they need all the encouragement they can get, and I don't go for players who are in their first season because people need time to adapt to different culture, weather, all the rest of it. So you give people patience. That's how I see it anyway. So I'm not going at Anthony this season or likes of Casemiro, even though Casemiro was goated, or Malacia or anything. Even though I think that Malacia he's had a decent season as deputy for Luke Shaw. I'm not saying he's a world-class left back, but as a deputy, he does a good job. So I don't think I can have Malacia. Eriksen, when he was good here, enough said. Casemiro, enough said. Really the only one of the Ten Hag signing, and Martinez, as I said, but the only thing is Anthony. But everyone else doesn't have McTominay doesn't have an excuse. Dallo doesn't have an excuse. Rashford doesn't have an excuse. And Sancho in particular doesn't have an excuse. You think David De Gea should get a new contract? I think he's the main reason we can't handle the press. Thoughts? Oh, it's a difficult one. I don't think David De Gea's distribution is good. I think David De Gea is. I think the problem with David De Gea and the whole thing is that when I look at the Manchester United squad, there are so many areas on the field that I feel that need to be improved, and I just think that is signing a keeper priority for Manchester United? That's the key thing. Is signing a keeper a priority for Manchester United? I don't know. That's the question. Is it or isn't a priority? Because if it's not, because if it is a priority, then it means that, because I'm also operating from the point of view that when we're still going to have Glazer ownership. If we have Qatari ownership, then yeah, we should have money to buy. We should go out and buy the best goalkeeper ever. But on the Glazer ownership, when you're thinking, crap, okay, well, we're poor and we're going to be even more poor, so we have to prioritize. So, right, the most important priority for me is that we need to get a striker. Under any circumstance, we need a striker in the gym. That's the first priority. Then, second, probably need to get another midfielder because we don't know whether Sabitzer is going to stay. And then with Sabitzer gone, you probably need to let Van der Beek go. So your only midfielders are Fred, McTominay, and Bruno, and Eriksen. We need to sign at least, and Casemiro. Sorry. So those are the 5 midfielders: Fred, McTominay, Bruno, Eriksen, Casemiro, and Sabitzer now. But Sabitzer, what we go about, we don't know. And you've got Van der Beek. Sorry, for me, you need to sell Van der Beek. Plus or minus, you can sell McTominay as well. But even if you don't, United need to get at least another midfielder and ideally, United need to get a proper ball progressive midfielder in a Pogba range. So those are 2 things, or a midfielder that is creative, that can deputize for Eriksen. And then third to that, United probably need to get either another centre back or a right back, because you can't keep on using Luke Shaw's, because clearly Ten Hag doesn't rate Maguire, so Maguire's gone. Bayer's probably going to be gone. So you're left with Lindelof, who is also thinking about his future because he wants game time. So these are the things. So those 3 things, at least 4 things, are still probably ahead of a goalkeeper. But again, it's all about the money. Malassi is better than Shaw. We don't need a new goalkeeper for now. Yeah, it's not a need, but yeah, striker, midfielder, defender. Exactly. That's essentially what I said. I think the only position I think that we don't need to is left back, because we've got Malassi and Luke Shaw, and you can make a case that Telles is even coming back from his loan. I assume he'll be sold, but you never know. And this is the key thing, because when you go pre-season, that's why pre-season is so good, because when you have pre-season, all the players are back, and you're like, right, okay, we can play a particular way. I can show you how these players work, etc. Suddenly now Ten Hag will have a squad that he can pick and choose from, and when you've got players like Ahmad as well that potentially might come to the throw, there you go, FB, shout out to FB. FB says, Arias, out of topic question. Do you think Liverpool end Arsenal's title hope? That is a very, very good question. A very good question. And by the way, guys, for those that are watching, get your questions in. We can keep this as a Q&A, so just by all means, get those questions in. I like these things to be interactive, What was I going to say? Yeah, answer this question. That's what I'm going to do. They can potentially because they have got a good record at Anfield, but I'm hearing there's a few things I'm hearing that I'm be concerned if I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm hearing that Salah's out. I want to confirm that, but I'm hearing that Salah is out. Salah is a doubt. I'm looking. Was it 4 miss Arsenal? So let's have a look. So Van Dijk is back. Luis Diaz and Thiago are back in training, but there's no sign of Salah, Diego Jota, Joe Gomez is irrelevant. So, but yeah. So the point is that Salah is gone, and I think that if Arsenal want it more, they can cause Liverpool problems. That's what I'd say. It's difficult, man. I just think Arsenal want it more. I think Arsenal will beat. And the thing is, as well, as you also got to remember that I don't think Liverpool, because at the end of the day, Liverpool can't really get top 4. And they probably don't want to play Conference League or Europa League. Really and truly, do Liverpool really believe they can make top 4 now? Probably not. So what's the next best thing? Do Liverpool fans really want Manchester City to win another title? Do they really want City fans to gloat on them? No. So I just think that Arsenal will want it more. And so I think that Arsenal will beat Liverpool. And I think that will be the step for Arsenal winning the title, because I know that City will beat Arsenal at the Etihad. They will, with a game in hand. They will. If anything, I think that the club that are more likely to end Arsenal's ambitions are Newcastle. That's going to be the game, because they'll beat, I can't remember what his fixtures are, but Arsenal have some tough fixtures coming later. And if anything, I think that Liverpool, I just think that they won't want it as much. But Newcastle at St. James's Park, I think, and because you've got to remember FB, remember that it was Newcastle last season when they were starting to get good that ended Arsenal's chances of getting top 4. Newcastle St. James's Park ended it. And I don't know, there's a weird part of me that with Newcastle the way they are now, if Arsenal go to St. James's Park, and remember, Newcastle went to the Emirates and got a point. They frustrated the life out of Arsenal, and they got a point. So, yeah, I can't stand Arsenal to win the league. J2S, shout out to J2S, man, says haven't beat Everton last 3 Premier Leagues at Ultra. Oh, interesting. Big up, yes, hit the like button. Yes, 2-0 United. You're right. The only thing I would say, and I think United are probably going to win this game, potentially, is a few reasons. The first thing is that Everton's away record is garbage this season. 2, our form away at home is been really, really good this season. And I think that we're getting the players back at the right time. I think if we can keep the main thing for me with Everton is that we don't buy into their tricks, and we're physical. We're not to be bullied. I think the loss of Decore helps, because Decore is quite a physical midfielder, and I think him not being there, I think, helps us. They don't have Calvert-Lewin, so they don't really have any real, the very fact that it was Will Keane, a defender, that scored that goal against Spurs tells you everything, so I think that at the end of the day, I think if we can, and Everton are not going to outpossess us, because that's not how Sean Dyche plays, long ball up, that type of thing. So I think that if we can just hold on to the position, I think we'll be fine. And I think this is especially true if you now throw in an Eriksen. In an ideal world, I would start Martial and Eriksen, but they're not ready to start, because then I would be fairly comfortable with a win. But I think what we just need to do is we just need to like the Brentford game, maintain a composure, hold onto the ball, and then take things from there. Because Dyche, as Ilya says, Dyche will park the bus away. He will. Yamasman gets them. This will be Liverpool's 3rd Ballsor in a row if they lose. I don't think Klopp will let that happen. Well, You're not. Well, you're right, but I think the thing is that with football is a strange sport, and a lot of the time, sometimes it generally does like just like you saw when we played United played Newcastle. Newcastle clearly wanted it more, and that's what I see, and that's what you see with certain with certain games is that sometimes it's yes, the atmosphere will be intimidating for Arsenal, but sometimes it does come down to who wants it more. And right now, Arsenal want it more, and that's true. Yeah. Newcastle for me. I mean, I can look at if we just look at. By the way, get your score predictions in, guys. I think that I actually right now the score predictions. I would probably say that it will be. I think this will be a 2-0 to Manchester United. That's my score predictions. I think. So if I just get the Premier League table standings here, and I'll just give you that in a second, guys. Here we go. So these are the Premier League table standing, and hopefully everyone can see that. So just to put things into context, obviously United have a game in hand over Spurs, although Brighton have a game in hand over us. So if they win that, they'll be 4 points behind us. But remember, Brighton are playing Spurs away. So if Brighton can beat Spurs, and hopefully they can do us a solid, because I don't think Brighton will get top 4, but they can take points of Spurs, and we beat Everton, then we'll be 6 points clear of Spurs with an extra game played. So and we still have to play them. So, and I'm not worried about Spurs, if I'm honest. I'm not. But yeah, if we look at Arsenal's fixtures, so away, West Ham away, they'll win that. They'll probably win these 2 games. But it's going to be these last 6 that I think are going to determine it. City away, I think they'll lose. Chelsea at home, I think they'll win. In fairness, I think they can beat Brighton. I know Brighton doing well, but they did pimp slap Brighton away with the way they played. So I think they can beat Brighton. But it's still going to be difficult. They'll beat Wolves at last game of the season. Forest, again, could potentially be challenging with how Forest took points off City at home. They took points of Liverpool. They took points of Chelsea. So they're difficult at home. But this game away to Newcastle, I think this is going to be the key. And I think that it will be interesting to see where Arsenal are, how many points clear they are when they play Manchester City. If they're still 8 points and they lose here and it's 5 points or maybe 3 points, because 5 points, but City have a game in hand, then you're thinking, ooh, they've got a game in hand. They'll be 2 points behind Arsenal, and they have to play Chelsea and Newcastle back to back, and then Brighton. Arsenal's run, this I think is fine, but Arsenal's last 6 games, these games are tough. Whereas likewise, if you compare it to City, I'm thinking, where's City going to drop points here? Southampton, maybe they're bottom of the table. They have nothing to lose. They're away. They can be a bogey team for City sometimes. Maybe a draw, but I doubt it. They'll beat Leicester. Brighton away has been postponed. So Brighton away, possibly if Brighton have a good game, they can possibly nick a point. Arsenal, I think they'll win. Fulham away, same thing, possibly. I'm looking at these City fixtures, and really, aside from Brighton away, maybe Fulham away at a stretch, Chelsea at home, you never know, but probably City will win, and then Brentford away, because Brentford, I think Brentford beat City at the Etihad actually. So it's going to be close. It's going to be close, guys. It's going to be close, but entertaining nonetheless. Let me get some of those questions. Who is the next academy prospect you see seriously pushing for a squad spot next season? On loan players included, and how does that impact our transfer strategy? Great question. So I came to it late. Great question, Mo. Very, very good question. That's a good question. I mean, no one's really from the academy this season is really, because I mean, you can't really include Ahmad and Palestri as academy players because we bought them for quite a bit. So because I would say Palestra or Ahmad, but then I wouldn't really class them as academy prospects or players. And I can't really think of anyone this season from the academy that's Garnacho. It's Garnacho. Yeah. That's really, I mean, right now in terms of academy upcoming thing, it is Garnacho. It's Garnacho. I think Alanga needs to go out on loan. If you're telling me, because this is Garnacho's first breakout season. And he wasn't definitively in the squad until recently. So I'd say Garnacho. Outside of him, if you exclude Ahmad and Palestri, Mainu, Iqbal, possibly, but right now it's going to be Garnacho for a while, I think. That's what about Keita back in training. Yeah, that's not really going to do anything for if you're a Liverpool fan. Yeah, Keita's back in training. Yeah, shout out to Keita. He's back in training, man. Yeah, that's great. That's really good. Brighton will banter Spurs. I hope so. I really do hope so, because I mean look at Spurs, because to be honest, and I don't know what people think, I'm really fairly relaxed about United getting top four. I don't care whether we finish third or fourth. It doesn't really matter to me because okay, Newcastle finished third, for example, but we have a trophy. So it doesn't really matter. We have a trophy. But I don't care. You see this Newcastle form as well. But at the end of the day, like for me, this is the top four. Like Brighton are probably the only team, because I don't see Liverpool. I mean, you look at Liverpool now. Liverpool are 10 points behind us with the same games played. Chelsea, geez, goodness, is that 15 points? So these guys aren't 10 points now. These guys aren't threats. The only threats are Brighton and Spurs. And Spurs have played an extra game and a banter. And you look at their fixtures. They have Brighton at home. I think they'll fall. Bournemouth, I think they'll win. They'll probably lose to Newcastle away. They probably will draw against Liverpool. Like literally, their next 5-6 games: Brighton, Bournemouth, Newcastle, United, Liverpool. I think these 5 games will kill Spurs' top 4 hopes, because I think they'll drop points to Brighton. They'll definitely drop points to Newcastle. I think we can do something at Spurs, even though our away record isn't that good. I think we can beat them. We usually do give them a good game, either a draw or win. And then Liverpool, enough said. I think they'll drop points there. So I think, to be honest, by the 30th end of April, I think Spurs' top 4 hopes will be done. As much as what I personally think. I think points exactly. Says Jay, it's 5 points. City have 1 game. Yeah, they do. But it's not. Well, it's not really. The thing is, I never like saying, "Oh, it's 5 points because they have 1 game in hand," because at the end of the day, like you can still lose that game in hand. And that game in hand, from my understanding, is oh, I don't know what the game in hand is actually. Who's the game in hand? Where is it? Is it Brighton? It might be Brighton, because they've postponed. No, but that's not been played yet. I don't know what they're. Let me know in the chat if you know. Like, what is City's game in hand? Because they've postponed the game against Brighton, so I'm not entirely sure what their game in hand is. I would suspect that it was against Brighton, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's against Arsenal. I don't know. Garnacho isn't even from more. So there you go. There you go. So I don't even know, really, because Ahmad and Palestri bought. It seems like Garnacho we bought. So there isn't. So from my gather, there isn't really anybody. The last one was Greenwood, and enough said. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But anyway, guys, thanks everyone for tuning in and watching on this Friday evening. Really, really appreciate everyone. We are back with Seams. I will be back with a live match reaction tomorrow. Obviously, kickoff is at 12:30 BST British time. Hopefully, Manchester United win. But remember, guys, if you're on this channel, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devils 2 Joe. Follow us on Twitter. We are United X. and smash the notification button for massive news. I'm so glad to be back streaming and doing this again and building up this community, and hopefully I can continue to do this. And remember as well, I'm posting on Red Marvel as well. So head over to my second channel, Red Marvel. I've just posted Super Mario Bros. Review, that we're doing film reviews, TV reviews, etc. And my third channel, Red L2 Extra, where we're posting more shorts. Have a nice day, everyone, and cheers. Peace, peace, peace. Peace.